in the heart of the Kingdom of Hungary, a tale of darkness was born, a legend so chilling it has echoed through centuries. This is the story of Countess Erzsébet Báthory, a name that would become synonymous with terror, forever etched in history as the Blood Countess. Born in 1560 into one of the most powerful and illustrious noble families in Hungary, Erzsébet was destined for a life of privilege. The Báthory family wasn't just wealthy. They were a dynasty of warriors, church leaders, and even a king. Erzsébet herself was exceptionally well educated for a woman of her time, fluent in multiple languages, intelligent, and by all accounts, strikingly beautiful. At just 15, she was married to Count Ferenc Nadasdy, a formidable soldier known as the Black Knight of Hungary. While he was away leading armies against the Ottoman Empire, Erzsébet was left to manage their vast estates, including the infamous Lakatos Castle. It was within the cold stone walls of this fortress that the whispers began. At first, they were just rumors, hushed tales of peasant girls who went to work at the castle and were never seen again. Servants spoke of the countess's volatile temper, of sudden, violent rages that would result in brutal beatings. But these were dismissed as the troubles of a demanding noblewoman. For years, the stories festered in the shadows, growing darker and more numerous. The official story, the one that would cement her terrifying legacy, began to unfold after her husband's death in 1604. Now, a wealthy and powerful widow, Erzsébet's alleged cruelty escalated. The rumors no longer just involved peasant girls. Now the victims were said to be young women from lesser noble families, sent to the countess to learn courtly etiquette. When these girls also started disappearing, the authorities could no longer turn a blind eye. The King of Hungary, Matthias II, finally ordered an investigation, led by a man named György Thurzo, the Palatine of Hungary. On a cold December night in 1610, Thurzo and his men stormed Lakatos Castle. What they claimed to have found was a scene from a nightmare. Accounts from Thurzo's men described finding the bodies of girls scattered throughout the castle. Some were said to be alive, but horrifically injured. The legend was born in this moment of alleged discovery. Over the next few months, more than 300 witnesses were questioned. The testimonies painted a horrifying picture of systematic torture and murder. Servants and accomplices of the countess confessed under torture, describing unthinkable acts. They spoke of beatings, stabbings with needles, biting off flesh, and leaving girls to freeze to death in the snow. These confessions detailed years of abuse, with the number of victims soaring into the hundreds. The most famous legend, the one that gives her the name Blood Countess, is that she bathed in the blood of her young victims, believing it would preserve her youth and beauty. But here's where the story gets complicated. Was Erzsébet Báthory truly the most prolific female serial killer in history, or was she the victim of a political conspiracy? Let's look at the facts. Firstly, Erzsébet was never put on trial. As a high-ranking noble, a public trial and execution would have been a massive scandal for the ruling class. Instead, her four main accomplices were tried and swiftly executed, while Erzsébet herself was sentenced without a trial. Her punishment? To be imprisoned within her own castle? She was walled up in a set of rooms at Lakatos, with only small slits left open for food and air. She remained there for 4 years, until her death in 1614. Historians today question the narrative. Erzsébet was a Protestant in a largely Catholic region, and a very wealthy, independent widow. She held vast amounts of land and money that many, including King Matthias II, owed her. The king was deeply in debt to the Báthory family. A conviction for such heinous crimes would conveniently erase that debt and allow her massive estates to be confiscated and redistributed among her political rivals, including the investigator, György Thurzo. Furthermore, many of the sensational details, including the bloodbaths, only appeared in print decades after her death. They were not mentioned in the original witness testimonies. The accounts from Thurzo's raid are dramatic, but they were written by the very people who stood to gain from her downfall. The confessions of her servants were extracted under extreme torture, a practice known to produce false statements. Could these confessions have been coerced to fit a predetermined story? We are left with two possibilities. The first is that Erzsébet Báthory was a monstrous sadist who used her power and privilege to torture and murder hundreds of young women in a depraved quest for eternal youth. The second is that she was a powerful, intelligent, and perhaps cruel, but not monstrous woman who was framed by her political enemies. Her wealth, her gender, her religion, and her independence made her a target. The lurid tales of bloodbaths and vampiric rituals may have been propaganda expertly crafted to destroy her reputation and seize her power. The truth is likely somewhere in the murky middle. It's plausible, even probable, that Erzsébet was a cruel and abusive mistress, a common trait among the nobility of that era. She may have been responsible for the deaths of several servants, but did she murder over 600 girls and bathe in their blood? That part of the legend seems to belong more to the world of Gothic horror than historical fact. The story of the Blood Countess was sensationalized, exaggerated, and used to create a monster. This story later inspired countless books and films, including Bram Stoker's Dracula, forever blending the woman with the vampire myth. The tale of Erzsébet Báthory serves as a chilling reminder of how easily history can be twisted. She is either a monster beyond comprehension, or a victim of one of history's most successful character assassinations. Trapped between horrific legend and historical mystery, the true face of the Blood Countess remains lost to the shadows of time, leaving us to wonder what really happened behind the locked doors of Lactus Castle. Thank you for joining me on this journey into one of history's darkest legends. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more dives into the mysterious corners of the past. See you next time.